Have you ever felt like something's holding you back, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Like you're working hard, trying to do your best, but still stuck in the same place? Well, it might not be bad luck or other people causing it. The truth is, there are 7 habits, quiet ones, that could be quietly ruining your life. You've probably had them for so long, you don't even realize they're there anymore. Now, let's bring in some ancient wisdom, Stoicism. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius believe that it's not what happens to us that causes suffering, but how we think about it. He once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, the way we live, and the habits we form, are in our control. And when we change those, everything changes. In this video, we're going to break down those 7 bad habits one by one. I'll explain how each one slowly damages your peace of mind and your sense of purpose. But we won't stop there. You'll also hear real-life examples, Stoic insights to help shift your mindset, and practical steps you can start using today to take back control. Alright, let's dive in. The first habit is sneaky. It feels like you're just going with the flow, but really, it's pulling you further away from the life you want. Before we begin, if you're drawn to Stoic wisdom and timeless insights that help you live with clarity and courage, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. It supports the work, and brings more philosophy into more lives. Now, let's explore today's teaching. Habit 1. Drifting without purpose. Imagine this. A man wakes up each morning and reaches for his phone. He scrolls through social media for a while, not really thinking. He gets ready for work, a job he doesn't care about, and goes through the motions. After a long, tiring day, he comes home, eats, and watches TV until he falls asleep. The next day, the exact same routine. And then again. And again. Before he realizes it, months turn into years, and he looks back and wonders, where did the time go? He wasn't really living. He was just existing. Why this habit is so harmful? Living without a clear sense of purpose leads to a quiet kind of suffering. You might not notice it right away, but over time it builds up. You feel empty inside. You start to doubt yourself. And deep down, you feel restless, like something's missing, but you can't quite name what it is. What Stoicism says. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, figure out what kind of person you want to become. Then start living in a way that matches that vision. The Stoics believe that our purpose should be tied to virtue, to becoming wise, courageous, self-disciplined, and just. When you live with purpose, you stop drifting and start living with intention. How to fix this habit? Here are some simple things you can do to stop drifting and start directing your life. Firstly, start journaling each morning. Ask yourself, what do I want from today? Secondly, figure out what you truly value. What really matters to you in life? Thirdly, write a short personal mission statement. 1 or 2 lines about what kind of person you want to be. Finally, check in with yourself every week. Ask, am I getting closer to the life I want? It doesn't have to be complicated. The key is to be honest with yourself, and consistent. Because when you don't have a purpose, you're like a leaf in the wind, going wherever life blows you. But even if you find your purpose, there's another habit that might stop you from ever taking action on it. Let's talk about procrastination. Habit 2. Procrastination. Imagine this, there's a woman who dreams of building her own business. She wants to write a book, maybe even learn how to play the guitar. Every day, she thinks about it. She tells herself, I'll start tomorrow. But when tomorrow comes, she hesitates. Her mind whispers, not now, you're tired, it's not the right time. Days pass, then weeks, then years. Her dreams are still there, untouched, gathering dust in her mind. This is procrastination. And it does more damage than we realize. It quietly robs you of your potential, your peace of mind, and your time. What the Stoics say. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, gave us a powerful reminder. He said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." In other words, life is short. Every moment you delay is a moment you never get back. The Stoics practiced memento mori, which means, remember that you will die. Not to scare you, but to wake you up. Because when you truly understand how little time you have, you stop wasting it. How to break the habit. Here are some simple strategies that can help. 1. The 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it immediately. It helps build momentum. 2. Time blocking. Set specific times in your day to work on what matters. Treat it like an appointment you can't miss. 3. Eat the frog. Do the hardest task first. Once that's done, everything else feels easier. 4. Visualize the cost of delay. Ask yourself, what will my life look like if I keep putting this off for another month? Another year? Even if you beat procrastination and start taking action, there's another trap that can still hold you back. It's not outside of you, it's the voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough. Habit 3. Negative self-talk. Imagine this. A young man looks in the mirror and quietly says to himself, "You're not good enough." He's not yelling. He's not even emotional. But he says it every day. Over time, those words sink in. He starts to believe them, not just once, but constantly. And he doesn't even realize it's happening. This is negative self-talk. It's that quiet, persistent voice in your head that tells you you're not smart enough, not capable enough, not worthy enough. And over time, it takes a toll. You lose confidence. You start avoiding challenges. And mentally, you're just drained. Now, the Stoics had a powerful way of looking at this. Epictetus once said, "It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." In other words, it's not the situation itself, it's how we interpret it. Negative self-talk is just a judgment. A bad habit of interpreting yourself in the worst possible way. So how do you stop it? Here are a few things you can try. First, give that critical voice a name. When it speaks up, recognize it. Call it out. Second, challenge it. Ask, is that really true? What's the evidence? Third, use Stoic journaling. At the end of the day, write down one negative thought you had, and then question its usefulness. And finally, try what the Stoics called the view from above. Mentally zoom out and see your life from a higher perspective. Will this thing you're worried about even matter a year from now? 5 years? Remember, your mind can be your greatest ally, or your worst enemy. You get to decide which. Because even if you manage to quiet that inner critic, there's still another habit that can hold you back, one that keeps you trapped in the past. Habit 4. Holding grudges. There's a woman who can remember every hurtful thing ever said to her. Every time someone betrayed her, embarrassed her, or let her down, it's all still in her mind, crystal clear. She replays these moments over and over, thinking that holding on to them somehow protects her or gives her strength. But in truth, every time she revisits those memories, she's just hurting herself all over again. It's like carrying around a bag of broken glass, sharp, painful, and heavy. And what does this habit really do to us? It drains us. It causes constant stress, ruins relationships, and keeps us stuck in the same emotional place, unable to grow. Now, here's how the Stoics saw it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, if someone wrongs you, don't become bitter or hateful, that just gives them more power over your life. The Stoics believe that forgiveness isn't about letting the other person off the hook, it's about freeing yourself from the burden. So how do you let go of a grudge? Try this. First, ask yourself honestly, is holding on to this pain helping me in any way? If not, write down what you'd say to the person, but don't send it. Just release it from your mind. Then use what the Stoics call the dichotomy of control. Realize you can't change what happened. You can only change how you respond. Finally, practice compassion. Not for their sake, but for your own peace. Because here's the truth. When you hold on to a grudge, you're the one still suffering. When you let it go, you make room for peace, for healing, and for growth. But peace, as you'll see next, can be fragile, especially when you let the need for approval control your life. Habit 5. Always chasing approval. Let me paint a picture. Imagine someone who constantly checks their phone. Not for work. Not for emergencies. But to see if people liked their photo, shared their story, or praised something they said. Their mood rises when the likes come in, and crashes when it's quiet. That person might be smiling on the outside, but inside, their emotions are completely controlled by what other people think. And that's the danger of needing constant approval. When you rely on others to feel good about yourself, you give away your power. You start shaping your life based on what gets you praise, not based on what's right for you. Over time, you lose your sense of who you really are. And that creates a deep, ongoing insecurity, because you never feel like you are enough without someone else's applause. Now let's look at what the Stoics say. Epictetus, one of the most practical philosophers of ancient times, put it simply. If you want to grow, be okay with people thinking you're a fool. Why? Because growth often looks weird to others. It means doing things differently, saying no, standing alone. Stoicism teaches us that true freedom comes when we stop caring about things outside our control, especially the opinions of others. So how do you break free from this need for approval? Start by telling yourself, out loud if you have to, I don't need anyone's permission to feel valuable. Set goals that matter to you, not goals that just impress other people. And take breaks from social media, seriously, unplug. Finally, do something you enjoy without sharing it. Don't tell anyone. Just feel the joy of doing it for yourself. That's where confidence grows. Because here's the truth, the more you seek approval, the more you lose yourself. Letting go of that need for approval is tough, no doubt. But even if you master that, there's another habit that can still keep you mentally trapped, even if no one can see it from the outside. Habit 6. Overconsumption, when enough is never enough. Picture this, one person is endlessly scrolling through social media. Another is glued to the TV, jumping from one news story to the next. Someone else reaches for snacks every time stress hits. Different actions, same problem, they're all trying to escape boredom, anxiety, or discomfort. But here's the twist, they don't even realize that the things they're consuming are starting to consume them. This habit slowly pulls you away from your goals. You become distracted, mentally foggy, and tired, not because you're doing too much, but because your brain is overwhelmed. It's like your attention span gets stretched thin, and your willpower fades. Every moment becomes harder to focus, and the things that truly matter start to slip away. Seneca, a Roman Stoic, once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Stoicism teaches us the importance of moderation. Not to avoid pleasure entirely, but to enjoy it with discipline. When we consume too much, whether it's food, news, or entertainment, we're no longer in control. The habit is how to break free. So what can you do? Firstly, start with a digital detox day. One day a week with no social media or news. You'll be surprised how calm your mind becomes. Secondly, be mindful of what you consume. Ask yourself, why am I watching this? What am I gaining from it? Thirdly, trade passive consumption for active presence. Go for a silent walk. Read something nourishing. Sit with your thoughts. Finally, track your habits. Take note of how much time you spend on your phone, how often you eat out of boredom, or how often the news leaves you anxious. You don't have to quit everything. Just regain the power to choose. But even when you manage to unplug and cut out the noise, there's still one dangerous habit that can quietly destroy your progress from within. One that disguises itself as harmless, but keeps you stuck. Let's talk about it next. Habit 7. Complaining without taking action. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone who wakes up every morning saying, "I hate my job. Nothing ever goes right for me. I just can't catch a break." They say these things day after day, but never actually do anything to change their situation. Sound familiar? The problem with this habit is that it locks you into a victim mindset. You start to feel like life is happening to you, and not something you have any control over. And over time, this constant complaining turns into a kind of emotional quicksand. It drains your energy and keeps you stuck in place. The Stoics had a clear view on this. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop talking about the life you want, and start living it. Stoicism teaches that when we focus only on what's outside our control, like what people do, or what circumstances we're in, we lose our power. But when we ask ourselves, what can I do about this, we take our power back. So, how do you break this habit? First, when you catch yourself complaining, pause. Ask, is what I'm saying helpful, or is it just noise? Then, instead of venting, make a plan. Turn that complaint into a clear, simple action step. If you're unhappy with your job, start looking for something new. If you feel stuck in life, pick one small thing to improve each day. You can also keep a little notebook, or even a note on your phone, called your "What I Can Do" journal. Anytime you feel the urge to complain, write down one thing you can do to move forward instead. And finally, set limits on how often you vent. It's okay to talk things out, but only if it leads to clarity or action. Otherwise, you're just repeating the same story and keeping yourself trapped in it. Because here's the truth. Your words shape your world. When you stop complaining and start acting, your entire life begins to shift. But that change only lasts if you stay consistent, if you keep practicing what you've learned. Let's keep moving forward. Before we close, let's quickly revisit the 7 habits we've explored together, because remembering them is the first step toward mastering them. First, drifting without purpose, going through life on autopilot, with no direction. Second, procrastination, delaying the things that matter most, while time quietly slips away. Third, negative self-talk, the voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough. Fourth, holding grudges, carrying the weight of past hurts that stop you from moving forward. Fifth, seeking constant approval, chasing validation from others, instead of trusting your own worth. Sixth, overconsumption, too much screen time, junk food, or noise, numbing your mind and stealing your focus. And seventh, complaining without taking action, getting stuck in what's wrong without making it right. Each of these habits has one thing in common: they start in the mind. And as the Stoics taught us, the key to a better life is mastering your mind. Epictetus said it best. You become what you give your attention to. So, here's what you can do right now. Pick just one of these habits to focus on this week. Each night, take a moment to reflect, ask yourself, did I live today in line with my values? And maybe, come back to this video in a month. Notice the growth. See the difference. And remember this, above all else. You are not broken. You are simply waking up. The life you want isn't out of reach. It's just one better habit away. If today's message spoke to you, subscribe to Stoic Inner Voice, your daily companion on this journey of wisdom, self-mastery, and inner strength.